You know by now, some of this is body-worn camera, and those are cameras which are worn either on the officer's chest or slightly below the chest on some of our SRT officers. And so the cameras are not perfect, but they do capture a snapshot from that point of view, and they're important for this type of investigation. I did speak to all 3 officers today, and they are shaken up, but they are not physically injured. Again, Michigan State Police is conducting its own independent investigation, and that investigation will be reviewed by the Kent County Prosecutor's Office. I do want to warn you guys, if you could pause it for 1 second. So this videos, I think there's 3 altogether, not going to be that long. The whole thing probably runs about 6 minutes. You are going to see the incident where this individual is shot and killed. So as this says, graphic content, but we're not going to slow it down beforehand. So just in case you're streaming live or anything, just a heads up that will come very quickly. Thanks, Matt. We received 2 separate calls on this. One actually from an area ambulance, which was leaving Trinity Hospital, and the other one we have audio of right here for you to hear. as always, so this was out, obviously, about 10:45 last night in public. If anybody does have information to share with us, please call either the Michigan State Police, you can call the Grand Rapids Police, we'll get that information to them, but also Silent Observe if you'd like to remain anonymous. A couple things before I take questions. Number one is in regards to mental health issues. I know that our brothers and sisters in Detroit recently suffered a suicide by cop by one of their own members. It's a devastating thing for community. Every loss of life, every unnecessary loss of life especially, is tragic. But it's something that we're grieving, and it's difficult, obviously, not only for the loved ones of this individuals, but for the officers as well. In a canvass of the area, one of my officers actually encountered someone who said that this gentleman had conveyed to them that he was intending to partake in what's often called suicide by cop. So very difficult thing for everybody to process. Our condolences go out to his family. I think there's a lot of progress still to be made in the mental health treatment that we have in our community, in our city, and certainly in our country. Second thing that I want to bring up before I take any questions is that on social media we've seen some cell phone camera footage of what purports to be one of our canines. It's actually one of my favorite dogs that we have, Eli, who was stabbed 8 times and survived that incident and is back at work. Eli did assist with us on this, and what you'll see on the video that purports to be us sticking a canine on an individual who's clearly shot is not that case at all. Our canines are specially trained to rescue. Specifically, they're trained to rescue a police officer for a dangerous situation where that police officer may be incapacitated and in the line of fire, where they're trained to go grab clothes with their teeth and drag that police officer back. In this case, this individual collapsed with a clenched fist around the gun-shaped object that he had in his hand, which is what the officers could see. Because of that, they sent Eli in to grab him by the clothing. They dragged him away, at which time he released the grip, and officers were able to safely approach and render aid. So that's just correcting some misinformation that's going on Facebook. And with that, thank you guys all for coming in. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any for me.
Chief, you said gun-shaped object. Can you clarify, was it a gun? Or
I can't clarify for certain, but what I can say is it looked like a gun up until the point. Now, I did go to the scene last night, and I walked right up to it, and combined with the fact that I now believe, and I'm not coming into conclusion, but I believe we have enough circumstantial evidence that this was a suicide by cop. I did fail to mention that we've interacted with this individual to provide him with services in a mental health capacity several times over the past month. What I saw, it did not appear to be a functioning firearm, so I think there's a very good chance that this individual intended, really, to his credit, did not intend to hurt anyone, did not intend to hurt a police officer, but this was his way of ending his own life. Yeah, but that information, what that object was, whether it was, and as I told my officers back in my younger days when I was still a road patrol officers, I've encountered objects which I did not think were firearms and turned out to be firearms. So I still could be proven wrong, but from the distance that I looked from here to you, it was a gun. From here to the floor where I was pretty close to it, it looked to be a gun-shaped object. But I don't know that if it was a functioning firearm, but I'm guessing it was not.
Any connection to the hospital? Was he a patient, or was just that what happened?
So my understanding is that there was likely a past connection to the hospital, and I'm sure that as the Michigan State Police continue in their investigation, they're going to look to see if this was part of his cry for help, or if he tried to make his way into the hospital. I know there is some previous relationship. I'm not certain whether or not he was coming out of there at that time. I don't believe he was, but it's possible he didn't have hospital scrubs on, hospital gown on or anything like that. So it's something that we'll look to piece together, but I think MSP will probably come up with an answer for that.
And we heard a little bit about the calls and whatnot. Can you talk about kind of what led up to this?
Yeah, the initial call, the first call that we had, it was actually not a 911 call, it was a dispatch-to-dispatch call, so just in our hurry, and again, this isn't all the videos, you can see there were a lot more officers out there, this is just what we could put together quickly to let you guys know, let the public know and the community know what happened. What initially led up to this was an ambulance that was departing Trinity Hospital, called their dispatch called our dispatch and said, hey, there's a man with a gun right outside the hospital, send the police. So that was the first call. While officers began to respond to that, then you hear the 911 call of individuals that had been flagged down by 3 young men on scooters, which had gone by and said, hey, you guys got to get out of here, there's a man with a gun waving it around just, at Jefferson and Maple. So that was the information the officers had at that time.
I would ask too, there were 3 officers on the scene, correct?
There were, by the time this gentleman is struck by gunfire, there were probably 10 officers total. About 3 officers discharged their weapons. Yeah, the video that I showed you of the officer, the last video is one of the officers that discharged their weapons. That is the most clear picture of the body-worn camera. If you can picture when an officer does have their hands, both hands in front of them, like they're going to discharge a weapon, sometimes it obstructs the video, so that was the clearest version that I had to share with you.
And what was the timeline from that first call through dispatch to when the shooting kind of happened?
I want to say 3 to 5 minutes, but I'm not certain, but I'm fairly confident it's within 5 minutes. Yeah.
In the video, I know we hear one officer say that he's pointing a gun at me.
Yeah.
Can you confirm, was he pointing the object at officers?
Yeah, from the video, and you watch it again, and we'll provide this video to the media via Dropbox like we always do. You'll see the first officer that arrives, his in-car camera video, which is the first video that we shared. This gentleman actually has the gun-shaped object, and he is holding it up against his head like he's going to kill himself. At that point in time, when he makes note of the officers, he looks and he gets in a gunfight position, a traditional shooting stance, and it is pointed directly at one of the officers, and I believe at some point in time he then points at a second officer who you may hear on the radio say that he's pointing a gun at me, at which point in time that's when the shooting takes place.
I know you kind of touched on it earlier, but how are your officers doing and what resources are available?
I talked to them last night, and all 3 of them were quite shaken up, even if, and I'm not coming to a conclusion, but if you're, and thank God I've never had to be in a situation where I had to take someone's life in the line of duty. But if you're put in a situation, even if you're completely justified in any way, it's a devastating thing to be in a situation where you take another person's life. Throw in the fact that there's a lot of stresses involved in our job as far as, how the investigations go and how they're going to be treated in the media. Is their name going to be put out in the media? Are they going to get attacked on social media? Are their families going to be bothered? Shortly after the Patrick Lyoya incident, I had people show up at my house. I've had people threaten my family. I wasn't even the shooting officer. I just represent this police department. I had death threats in the mail. I had death threats here. Very unsettling things. And officers know that wherever it is, including death threats really from across the country. I heard from people in California, don't know anything about me, were sending me, all the ways that I should end my life. So there's a lot of stresses that you don't think about unless you're a police officer when you're in one of these situations. Add that to the fact that you were just part of a situation where you took someone's life, and it's really difficult to process emotionally. I'm very thankful that they are physically okay, as far as they don't have any bullet holes in them. They're not, no broken bones, etc. But they were shaken up last night. I did talk to them today. Just to check in with them, and they're doing about as good as you would think they'd be doing.
You talk about this concept of suicide by cop. For people watching who might not really understand that. I mean, you kind of said it, if you saw it in Detroit, it's kind of happened. So.
Yeah, as police tactics, I think more and more, whether it's through television, the media, social media, and just the ubiquity of cell phone video, surveillance video, in our culture, over the years, suicide by cop has been something that, if you have an interest in police procedure, you can see what steps are the police going to take in most situations. And unfortunately, we do see instances like that, and this is not the first incident like this since I've been here, but it's the first one that's come to fruition in this tragic way. And I just want to step back and say that you'll notice that the first officer immediately he took cover. So the first officer whose in-car camera you see did not engage in gunfire. He was the first one there. He's immediately drawn down on. He took fire and was actually in a safe, relatively safe place, unless the individual advanced behind his cruiser. That's changed tactically throughout the years. If you think back to 2014, when there's a 12-year-old child named Tamir Rice who was killed in Cleveland, Ohio. Tamir was a child. He was playing with a toy gun in a park, in a similar situation where neighbors had called and said, hey, I think this kid's got a gun. I think they even said it might be a toy. But the police tactic that the Cleveland police used were drive up as soon as possible and interact with that. And that resulted in the police officers pulling up and actually shooting outside their window and killing a 12-year-old boy who was playing with a toy gun. So as you see, total different set of tactics here. The tactics of policing as a profession have changed just in the 10 years since Tamir was killed. So it's different. You hear many times I'm saying over and over, drop the gun, drop the gun. So different process, but if you are a student of police procedure, you can look to these sort of incidents, whether it's a suicide by cop or just an officer-involved shooting, and say, what steps did this individual take? I'm gonna imitate that person, and I think the police officers are gonna be in fear of their life and gonna shoot me. And unfortunately, that appears to be what took place last night.
Were you able to speak with the family of this victim in any way?
I certainly intend to do so in the future. If they reach out to me, I would love to have them here and love to talk to them and grieve with them. However, at this point in time, as MSP is the lead, I'm not going to get involved in their investigation, and I'm not going to muddy it in any way by having that connection, but I hope that in the very near future I will be able to make that connection.
What's their involvement into the investigation? Are they investigating what led up to it as well, or are they just specifically focusing on the shooting?
Yeah, so here's how it works is, I got the call last night probably about 10:50 or so, and by the time I arrived, there was already a sergeant from the Michigan State Police there. I stayed on scene for about an hour, and by the time I left, there were probably 6 troopers there. There was a lieutenant, several sergeants and detectives, and really as soon as they have a presence, they start taking over everything. It was their forensic team that came to collect all the forensic evidence. They're going to be doing the interviews of police officers, of witnesses. They're going to be the conduit to the family and have those difficult but important conversations with the family. And they're tasked not only with the actual shooting incident, but everything that led up to it as well. So they already, before I left last night, they had all the dispatch audio. They had the 911 calls. They had the communications with the ambulance dispatcher, et cetera. They have all our CAD. So they have an entire story to go through, because it's important that the prosecutor be able to be given everything once they're ready to have it reviewed by the Kent County prosecutor. They're going to have just a full, and they do a great job. This is the 8th officer-involved shooting that I've been on. I know they don't want to be called. They don't want to be woken up in the middle of the night. They don't want to be put in a situation of critical importance with liability, et cetera. But they do know how important it is to every agency that they do this for, to maintain the integrity of the investigation. They do a phenomenal job. Like I said, this is number 8 for them. I've been very happy with the professionalism that they've shown, the excellence of their work, and I see that continuing. So I am very grateful that we still have this relationship with the Michigan State Police, but they keep it separate. They maintain that integrity, and they take the whole thing. Yeah, now I will say the administrative investigation, even if they come back and say this is a legally justified case where there will be no criminal charges, the Office of Oversight and Public Accountability will do a complete review of the case. Our internal affairs will look at it. So even if there's something on the edges, something small, wrong equipment used or something, that there could be still administrative issues to deal with. And then as an agency, we see every incident, whether it's a positive incident, a negative incident. Every incident that we have here is an opportunity to get better. So we will be looking at it from a policy standpoint, from a training standpoint as well.
And then are the officers, the 3 that were involved in the shooting, are they on administrative leave?
Those 3 officers are on critical incident leave. We've got 2 things. Number one, we want to make sure that they're ready and available to comply with all the requirements of the investigation. And then, of course, we want to make sure that they're cleared by the prosecutor, if assuming that's the case, before they go back to the streets. But then we also, it's critically important for us to make sure that they are emotionally, mentally ready to return to the streets, to make sure that they have the services. We are very fortunate here. We have our own in-house clinician with an office here. We have a therapy room in the police station, which is something very, very valuable that we take advantage of. And in a situation like this, we're certainly going to be taking advantage of it. All right, I appreciate you guys very much taking the time to come down and have this conversation with me, and we'll be happy to follow up, and the video will be available for the Dropbox very soon, from the Dropbox very soon. Thank you very much.